What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 12 of Hell's Paradise, and I believe we have one more episode left. We will be going full spoilers ahead with this episode, so hopefully you have watched it, as there is a lot of stuff happening in this that I hope you followed, because I try to follow myself. There's a lot of info in this one, and let's do a real quick recap, and I'm going to not go through every little detail because there's a lot of little details in this. Basically, Sagiri, Senta, and I think her name is Yuzuriha, all make it to Horai. They run to the Tensen from the last episode, and things don't go well, of course. We find out through a couple conversations and situations where Yuzuriha attacks the Tensen that she sees Tao. Not Tao. Is it Tao? Tao. Yeah. Yes. Not Tan. Not all other words in this show. Tao. She sees Tao, but from where she's from, they call it Ki. And that makes the Tensen very interested in her. He explains to them, their despair, that the elixir of life does not work on humans. It only works for them. It turns humans into trees. And there's another thing he said about it as well. Do you remember?
Yeah, he said it's not an elixir of life, and it only works on people who have mastered Tao. Otherwise, they turn into trees.
Yeah, exactly. So we get the discovery that Yuzuriya has the ability to see Tao, but she just called it something else. This dude, after he gets attacked, starts attacking them. They go to, Yuzuriya goes to run. He does some kind of attack at her. She's able to dodge it. They have the discussion. Then through a couple incidences, Sagiri attacks the dude as well. He sees that she has like normal Tao, but after she attacks him, attacking his tanden, that's what it's called.
Something like that, yeah.
So many words. He sees that her Tao actually changes, fluctuates. She's able to kind of keep it hidden, but then use it in certain situations. Am I saying that correctly?
She can use a breathing technique to like enhance it for a moment before she strikes.
She can pump up her power level. Yeah. She strikes him across the face, and it stays there. So she has some kind of Tao that
polar opposite of his. That's
opposite of his, so that she can actually leave. He doesn't heal from her attacks, apparently, which is kind of crazy. He becomes interested in her as well, and he wants to make both the Tao users into Tan, because they would be very extra tasty Tan sips for him. Not so interested in Senta, though. He's just kind of ready to kill him. But the three end up having to work together to fight the Tensen, discussing that this isn't a god, it's a monster, and it can be killed. So they work together, and eventually Senta is able to stab the Tensen from behind, with Sagiri coming up and striking him across, it seemed like his
the abdomen.
Tandon again. A lot of little details happen in the fight. Watch the episode, or you probably already did, to see all those. A lot of cool stuff happening in terms of combat in this episode, I thought. We'll talk about it. And he goes down, seemingly. Then we go through some of Senta's background, and he starts talking about how he has feelings for Yuzuriha, and how free and careless she is about everything, which contradicts his background and being a Simon. I think that's how you say it. And kind of setting him up for some kind of fate, obviously, because as soon as he started talking, I was like, here we go. We get a flash over to Gabi Maru and everybody else. I didn't really get much from this part outside of you can't interrogate people if you kill them, and they want to use May to be able to locate something.
They want to question her about the elixir of life.
Yeah.
But they also think it's kind of messed up to
give
force her to help.
Given the situation that they learned about last episode, and then Gabi Maru passes out with a bloody nose. A lot of bloody noses in this episode. We flash back to Sagiri and everybody, and a flower with a needle at the end launches towards Yuzuriya. Senta jumps in the way, taking the blow, and has a flashback and kind of a vision, hallucination of more of what we've heard in this episode when it comes to his view of Useria, and some really interesting visuals that the show is really good about using. He is now at this point consumed by flowers and pretty much doing what they do when it comes to making tan. So he is out of the picture now, and a giant monster grows behind him that was once the Tensen, is now in its, I assume, final form as far as we know, because we've seen this once before now. They, after having fought the Tensen already, are tired and going, should we run? We are going to have to fight this thing. And it launches a bunch of its needle flowers at them, and they are all cut up in the nick of time by, I forgot his name, but the master that trained Tenza, who sacrificed himself out in the woods, shows up, cuts all the flowers, and we cut off, of course, because cliffhangers, and also the next episode will probably be a big finale that I think they will kill the Tensen, but we will find out. Impressions?
Well, the one thing I wanted to add that
Yeah, please.
you didn't grab was the Tensen informed the tree guy that there is no afterlife and that it was a lie to control humans because they like to toy with them.
I didn't touch on the tree guy at all because his head got cut off from the last episode, and he's just kind of chilling. And also at one point, Sagiri's trying to get hints on how to fight the Tensen, and
he explains the center of power thing to her.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of little details. This show has a lot of lore, and every episode is a lot of. I'm like watching, paying attention, but I'm like, there's a lot of info that you're dumping at me.
Terms you gotta try to keep in mind.
And doing a recap, I'm like, okay,
shit.
Yeah. So yeah, impressions. What did you think?
I actually really like this episode. It's probably one of my favorite ones so far.
Yeah, I agree.
It had,
and just to note, we've been saying that more and more in these last.
I think
episodes.
it's finding its pacing, which is crazy because it's like the season's almost over.
Yeah.
But like, first off, the fight scene was completely shown to us, which was great. But I really appreciate they did really good like scenes. I don't like the animation was fine, but like scene wise, they did a lot of really good scenes, and the teamwork play was like a lot of fun in this episode. I liked. I also enjoyed actually being able to see the Shinobi, or that's not what she is.
They called her Shinobi.
Yeah, I mean she basically is just a different type. Anyways,
Useria.
yeah, they showed her actually doing some combat as well, and explained what was happening when she was drinking the medicine, that she's metabolizing it and being able to secrete and control these things, and that was a lot of fun. I also like that because the Tensen's abilities are similar to that, as is explained in the episode, similar to like ninjutsus, but they were called something else, but it was still like a jutsu at the end. So even when he switched to she, the names of her moves changed at that point. It was interesting as well. So a lot of creativity in that regard, and I really like that. As far as like the info, it was kind of crazy, unless the dude's just lying or it's lying. I don't know what to call the Tensen half the time.
Tensen.
Yeah. And maybe the elixir life is real. I do think there's the truth obviously being that, you know, without having enough Tau, it's useless for you. So
I assume that's fact. It just makes the show.
it's just curious, like, what does that mean? If you do have Tau, you know, does it just make you Tensen or you know, or whatever? And obviously we were kind of seeing a little bit of that with the last episode with the brothers, with the one who keeps eating flesh, and now he's healing with vine scars and stuff. So
Yeah, I do assume they're telling the truth, just because I mean, anime's pretty good about just kind of dumping info at you anyway. But it makes sense that like not everybody can access the elixir of life, and the special people will be able to possibly or get something out of it because they've made it this far. Nobody else is really. Kind of gives it a system in which you know, it doesn't work for everybody. So I think that's probably the case.
well, yeah, and even like the whole time, not even just the Tensen, but I can't remember what they're called, like the in between people that they fought last episode.
Yeah, I forgot their names too.
They were all like pretty just like honest, because they just weren't threatened at all. So
Yeah.
the truth didn't matter because they were just going to kill him anyways, type of thing. So it's probably the same thing here.
Well, it's like that happens in a lot of animes too. Like when somebody always assumes that they're more powerful than somebody else, they're like, "Oh, I'll just tell you whatever I can
Yeah.
because you're not a threat to me." And then they learn. But it's also the Bond villain thing too, where you think you got Bond and you explain the whole plan, and then he escapes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, and other than that, when the flashbacks, when they were discussing
Senta.
Senta's feelings, or his admiration, I should say, for the freedom of the way the shinobi's like existence basically is compared to what he grew up in. Instantly, I was like, "That's a death fly."
Yep.
Like instantly, I was like, "Yeah, okay, this
Even-
dude's dead soon."
Even before that, when they're relaxing, and he was just like talking about like, "Oh yeah, I really like her." I'm like, "Oh great, you're trying to make him sympathetic. You're just
Yeah.
about to kill him."
And then pans over and shows half the lower half of the Tensen's body, and a bunch of flowers growing out of it. And then the design of the Tensen's form at this point is very cool looking and very creepy, though still in theme. So they're pretty creative about doing like a mix of like floral / yin and yang, male female. Like I don't know, they're really creative. I like that a lot. So, and then the save at the end, though a bit of a ex machina. It'd be cool to see like what he's been doing in his small amount of training, but everyone's been getting very aggressive small amounts of training in the show so far. So yeah.
Yeah, we know he can sense Tao as well, and I'm curious about what the little girl will do in this scenario too, because I assume she will be here.
Yes.
Unless they split up, but I don't know why they would.
Oh, and then both seeing Gabimaru and Sagiri. Can't believe I remember both their names. Paying a fee basically for using high amounts of Tau. They both had the same problem where they bled from their nose, though Gabimaru very much more so. But and Sagiri had hinted at there was a cost to doing it. And I do wonder if we're kind of seeing that same thing with the Tensen. That's why they have to keep drinking tan to keep that energy level up.
We saw that with the last Tensen fight.
Yeah, it just wasn't necessarily
wearing
done in
out
the same way. But
yeah.
But yeah, good episode. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. No, this is definitely a better episode for sure. I've obviously enjoyed the lore drops and the art style of the show, and it feels like it's finally caught its footing. They spent a lot of time kind of exploring certain things in the show, and now things are rolling, and it's a lot more interesting. This episode featured some pretty cool fight scenes, which I appreciated as well. We already kind of established before in past reviews that we're not really watching this for the action anymore, but there's definitely some interesting stuff going on here. The animation also gets a lot better in some of these fights as well. When the Tensen's head was regenerating with the vines, I noticed that the animation was actually super smooth, so they put a lot of work into that, which was nice to see. Also nice to see Yuzuriha actually do something, because she typically just kind of acts like the sneaky, you can't trust her type character, but always kind of like, looking out for herself and no one else. And in this situation, still kind of the same. She was ready to run when she wanted to, but when she first hit the Tensen, which I knew for sure, Tensen's not going to die from that. Why would they? But it was actually kind of showed off like the shinobi-esque lethality of her character, that how quickly she was just like ready to just jump behind someone, throw a bunch of shurikens right into their back, and then just lob their head off. It was kind of a cool thing, because very effective. If that was just a normal person, they'd just be dead. And how quick she is to do that. Also, seeing her use the way she fights, her abilities, taking on properties of whatever she drinks, medicine wise, was interesting. Using I forgot what she called it, but the weird rope acidic vine thing, wherever the hell that was, that juice goo stuff.
I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I know at one point it was a snake poison version.
Yeah, that was interesting as well. Used a lot in the fight at one point when the Tensen was in the air grabbing him. A lot of cool stuff going on there. And then the Sagiri stuff, none of that was surprising really, because we already know this character. They've been building up since the beginning. So when they're like, "Oh, you don't got Tao," I'm like, "Yeah, she does." It's gonna be some kind of sneaky fast strike Tao, and kind of was the case. When they're like, "Oh, you can just buff up real quick with it," which makes sense for her character because she's a samurai. So she's,
I like the connection there of like the strike and then powering up real quick for
exactly.
it.
So that makes sense. But yeah, when they're like, "Your Tao sucks," I'm like, "No, it doesn't." They're not going to do that.
No shot. Yeah,
exactly. But with Senta, I was like, yeah, he'll be fodder at some point. But I didn't realize it'd be this episode. But it made sense as soon as you start kind of reflecting on things. Like, oh yeah, you're on your way out. Which is cool. I thought he was a likable enough character. Not really a character I loved too much, but he was fine. He was fun. It's cool to see him fight as well. Against a human, he'd probably be pretty effective. He seemed like he knew how to swing a sword, and he's smart. So he's the one who went up behind the Tensen and stabbed it from behind, and that stab was pretty brutal the way he did it.
It's also good at informing Sagiri to do a shallow cut because he was behind it.
So. Yeah, exactly. And even the part 2 where the weird human
I can't remember what they're called. They're
people,
the toys.
Yeah. Attacked with the one that chased after Yuzuriha and jumped and exploded was remind me of a video game, a fucking bloater or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it was cool to see Senta. I don't remember what he threw over them. It was like a coat or something. But and then he stabbed through it at them, and I was like, that was pretty cool. So yeah, cool to see them kind of working together. Cool to see some progress on fighting the Tensen, because they're not likable at all as villains for me. So I'm ready for them to get annihilated. But of course, when they took him out, I was like, there's no way they just killed them like that. Although it almost seemed like it because they're really kind of breaking down the Tanden thing. And I was like, maybe Sagiri did just do the right strike and took him out. But then it turned into a monster, which is cool because that's kind of a thing that will be very interesting with the show moving forward is the Tensen aren't just humanoids in combat, which, a lot of animes, they either got monsters people fight or humanoid type things they fight. It's interesting in this that the Tensen can be humanoids. You get a, more punchy weapon combat fight, and then they turn into a monster, and now you have them having to fight a monster that has weird abilities. Like this one has the vine needles that it shoots at people to just instantly turn them into flowers for tan, and so I kind of like that contrast. Episode was cool. The info is interesting. We're moving closer to people being able to take out Tensen. It was really cool to see Yuzuriha, Senta, and Sagiri fight together, but in general, and seeing the master, I forgot his name, come in at the end makes me very interested in the next episode, because I think if it's the finale, they're going to do something big, and it's going to have to be good enough to end the season and wait for the next one. So hopefully, as I said in the last review, I think reviews before that, I feel like the show's going to end with them killing a Tensen. And then the next season or whatever story moving forward will probably be what comes after that. Mm-hmm. But I think they need a win in that regard. And this might be the Tensen they kill now that you have 3 people who use Tao. And I don't know what Gabby Maro's up to. I don't know if they're going to show up or not, or if they're going to stay split up. But something's coming. And I'm definitely interested in the finale of the show. And then grading the show, because my opinions of the show have really fluctuated. And it is definitely finding its footing. I don't know if it's enough to really change my grade a whole lot, possibly, but we'll find out with the finale. But the show is definitely getting better, and I'm happy about that, because with the show with such a cool art style, I would hate it to just suck. So, or not even suck, just be like meh, it was okay. But that happens, and everything's made equally. And with that, go ahead.
No, it's true.
Yeah. With that, we, in case you missed it, covered the finale for Demon Slayer. So make sure to go check that out if you're interested in that. As I talk about shows that are not created equally, Demon Slayer, of course, is made very well. But yeah, I think that's all when it comes to my impressions. Got anything?
Nope. Looking forward to the finale to see how they not only wrap up, what we're doing, but I'm sure tease us for future seasons. So
yeah, for sure. All right, well, let us know in the comments what you guys think of episode 12 of Hell's Paradise. What do you think about what's happening? What do you think about seeing these guys fight the Tensen? What do you think about this Tensen and how they turned into the monster? What do you think about their design? What do you think about Sagiri and Yuzurita? Moving forward with their now Tau abilities that we've established. We think it's going to happen with Gabby Morrow and his crew. And what are you hoping for when it comes to the finale? And if you've read the manga, please do not spoil any of that because we're watching this blindly. So we'd like to finish out the season with no spoilers. Thank you. Stay tuned. We're going to watch JJK 0 right now. So we'll have a review very soon. I know we're behind on that. I'm sure you're like, you haven't watched that yet? We're getting ready for season 2. So we got to watch this. So we are ready for that. So stay tuned for that. But I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. And we will talk to you guys on the next review.